Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to our team Zoom. My name is Harlequin Murray. I am the co-host this evening, just like I am every week, every Monday this time. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, but other time zones depending upon where you are. But anyways, if you are new this evening, welcome to the team. Welcome to our call. We appreciate you coming in. And I am going to go ahead and get things started. I get to go and introduce our senior team leader, Miss Ellen Winn. She is a good longtime friend of mine. But for those of you who are new here, just to give you a little bit of her background so you know where she's coming from. She grew up on her family's farm in Dallas, Georgia, not Texas, but Georgia. Where she currently resides on that property. But anyway, she spent over 25 years in the restaurant industry, and several of those years she worked in corporate with Domino's Pizza, and she was a training director and a senior operations director for them for many years. But anyways, in 1997, she ended up leaving Domino's and she started her own pizza restaurant, and she had a couple of pizza restaurants, and she has been a business owner ever since then. She ended up being introduced to network marketing about 20 years ago, and over the years she's built massive teams, and she's also helped a lot of different people along the way. Whenever I met her back in, gosh, it's been about 17 years ago now. She was actually the national training director for a network marketing company, and she was one of my upline, and we have been friends ever since. But she has worked with several different companies, and right now she is an area director in David Allen Capital and a one-star executive in the longevity residual plan. But right now we are one of the fastest growing teams in the company, and we've got a lot of leaders on the team. But anyways, without any further ado, I'm going to let Miss Ellen Winn take it away and give us some good nuggets.
Awesome. Thank you, Harlequin. I appreciate that. I appreciate you and our friendship. And I was just smiling as you were telling my story about being back out on the farm. Many of you know that this past Saturday was my birthday. Those of you that were in the Facebook group and saw my birthday come along. So Harlequin came out and helped me celebrate my 60th birthday. I can't believe I made it to 60 years old with some of the shenanigans I pulled when I was younger. But I'm here, I'm thankful and very blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and blessed to have you guys here on this team. So we had a lot of fun Saturday. We continue to have fun in life with our friendships. And, you know, I wouldn't know Harlequin. I wouldn't have been able to develop this relationship with her over these years if it had not been for network marketing. So I love the direct selling space that we're in, and the relationships that we get built to build along the way. In fact, we're going to talk about building relationships on the business side and how to maximize building relationships when you're networking, whether it be through Chamber of Commerce meetings or BNIs or whatever else might be going along. We're going to have that discussion tonight. But let me get us kicked off as I normally do with our team recognition. I'm going to get us into screen share mode and see what we can get going. Slides looking good?
They're taking a second, but there you go.
They're up?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go through our top recruiters, and then we got a couple of promotions. So this is for the week of 9/12 through 9/18. Omar Moody in first place with 33 new agent recruits. Congratulations, Omar. Not sure what you're doing, but man, you're knocking it out of the park with 33 recruits in first place. In second place, we have Latoria Porter with 8 new agents. In third place, we had a 3-way tie with 5 new agents apiece. Barbara Neal, Katina Willis, and Charlene Wilson. Congratulations, Latoria, for being in second place there, and then Barbara, Katina, and Charlene in third place. In fourth place, we have a 4-way tie, each with 4 new agent recruits: Lavonda Goodman, Eric Johnson, Rudolph Peen, and Adrian Seawright. Congratulations to you 4. And then we have Cody Hendricks in 5th place with 3 new agent recruits, and a 2-way tie in 6th place with 2 new agent recruits, Tracy Charlton and Angelica Bora. So congratulations to you, all of you who made the leaderboard. There are many who had one or more, at least one recruit, not one or more. If you had more than one, you made it to having your name on the board. But many of us had just one recruit for the week, and that gave us a total of 49 people in the organization who had at least one new agent recruit, a total of 116 new agents onboarded for the week of 9/12 through 9/18. So congratulations to all of you who had at least one new recruit. And even if you didn't have a new recruit, but you're out there having conversations with people and talking to them about the DAC business opportunity and how they can come in as a free agent and have their own agency here with David Allen Capital, then kudos to you. It's just a matter of time before your name too will be mentioned on one of these calls. Now, one of the reasons that we cover recruiting is that it's the lifeblood of our business. DAC is a marketing team, right? We are currently marketing funding and payment processing and customer financing. Funding is the reason that our company exists, and that is our flagship product. But David Allen Capital is building a marketing agency with all these independent agents nationwide. So whatever it is over the years to come that David Rutz, our founder, brings to the table for us to market, we will be able to get that message to the masses because of the agency network that we have. So that's why we focus on recruiting, because we're spending money, or the company is spending money paying agents like you and I to be the marketing arm and rewarding us when we bring a client to the table, rather than spending money through traditional advertising. That gives us a share of ownership in the company, and it pays us residually. So I'll talk about that in just a minute as well. Speaking of residuals, we just got paid last week on our residual. So let's move on to the next team recognition here, and that is new promotions. We have a couple of people who just got promoted to DAC 1. What is DAC 1? Well, that's leveling up in the DAC compensation plan. You know, we get paid 2 different ways. DAC is partnered with Longevity, right? We have a marketing relationship with them. So when you sign up as a David Allen Capital agent, if you're only marketing funding, then David Allen Capital is going to be the one that's paying you all of your commissions. And David Allen Capital has their own compensation plan for the funding bonuses. And when you move through that compensation plan, we call that leveling up. To move to that first level in the compensation plan, where you start earning more commissions on your personal production and eligible to earn overrides on your team, that first position is called DAC 1. And to get to DAC 1, you have to have at least one qualified funding, which means a qualified funding is a new client, not a renewal. And a qualified funding has to be at least $6,000 in funded value. So at least one qualified funding of $6,000 or more, and a total funded value of $10,000. Some people get to DAC 1 with one client if it's a $10,000 or higher funded value for one client. But many, it takes 1, 2, sometimes even a third client to get over that, because we see some clients that come in, they're not actually a qualified client with the $6,000 in funded value, but that funded value, even though it may not count as a client, goes towards the total, right? So once you get at least $10,000 in total cumulative funded value, with that one client, then you get promoted to DAC 1. So tonight I would like to recognize Trakayla Gibbons and Laban Johnson for hitting DAC 1 this past week. Congratulations to you two. Those are big milestones, taking a step up. Now let's take a look at what that means to them. If you go to the Agent Resource Center, we're not going to go there, but I'm just pointing out where to find it. If you go to the Agent Resource Center, if you're new and don't know how to get there, you can either look at your welcome email, and there's a link directly over there. But the way that I like to teach everybody is just remember, go to davidallencapital.com, and if you scroll to the very footer, the bottom of the page, there are links to resources, and under that resources link is a link to the David Allen Capital Agent Resource Center. Okay, so when you open it, it looks like this page that you see on the slide. Videos 1, 2, 3 at the top of the page. If you've not seen those are your required trainings. The Getting Started Right, the funding training, and then the compensation series. You want to watch those, but specifically on how you get paid as a DAC 1 with these promotions that we're recognizing, there's a compensation chart. So if you click that chart link there in that video, it's going to take you over to the compensation chart, and the DAC part of the compensation plan is explained on page 4, I believe. Nope, page 3. So when we get to page 3, you can see it shows you the different requirements. And now, since they have just gotten promoted to DAC 1, they're not going to earn 3%. They're going to earn 3% plus an extra 10% match on their own fundings, and they're eligible to earn a 10% override on their team. Now, if they get their next qualified client within 30 days while they're amped up, instead of 3%, they'll make 6% plus an extra 10%. So you want to watch this part of the compensation plan in the videos and follow along with this chart as David gives examples. So like I said, getting to DAC 1 is a big deal. That's where you're eligible to earn overrides on your team, plus those extra bonuses on your own funding. So congratulations again, you two, for getting your promotion there to DAC 1. All right, so tonight, the funding spotlight. I want to talk about, I said, residuals. We just got paid our residuals with our partnership, our marketing partnership with Longevity. They paid their residual commissions on the 15th. I saw that deposited into my Relevate account. How did it get to Relevate? Let me explain that. Longevity pays us either by a paper check, or you can get a pay card through Longevity. So if you get the pay card, you have 2 different pay cards. We have the DAC pay card that you sign up through the Agent Resource Center, get pay card, and that link is also in your welcome email. So the DAC funding bonuses all get paid directly to your Relevate account. I personally have set up a pay card account with Longevity. I know Harlequin still gets the paper checks in the mail, likes to have that touch it, feel it, and see it on paper. I like the speed of the direct deposit, so that direct deposit hits my Longevity card, and I have it set up to automatically transfer over into my Relevate account, because Relevate pays interest, right? So I get my residuals there, and that goes over in all of my DAC monies combined with the DAC funding bonuses and the Longevity residual, which to me is tied back to DAC, because all those residuals are through services that we market at David Allen Capital. So that's part of the residual. But the funding spotlight that I wanted to share is that I recently had 2 renewal fundings back to back. Both of these were clients that got funded within a couple of days of each other in March, I believe. I meant to look and see what, it may have been May. They got funded either in March or May, one of the M months. And here within a couple of days of each other, they both got renewals, which means that they had paid down at least 50% of their original funding, and they were eligible for additional funding. So our lending partner automatically reaches out to them when they hit that point that they're eligible, and they say, hey, we see that you have just hit eligibility for additional funds. We wanted to check in and see how your cash flow is. Do you need more money, or are you doing good right now? And that gives them the opportunity to say, yes, I want some extra money. And then that's what we call a renewal funding. I didn't have to do any work for that. Our funding team, our internal team did all the work for me. I just got a surprise email, or actually 2 surprise emails from David Rutz in my personal commissions. I looked him up. I'm going, what is this company? That sounds familiar, but I haven't seen that application. So I had to go back and look in my spreadsheet, my list of leads, and I saw that they were someone who had gotten a funding before. So it was renewal. So those are a great incentive part of building relationships here, because once you get a funding with a client, it's potential that they come back again and again whenever they need that quick working capital to get more money. So that's the 2 testimonials that I had. Harlequin, did you have someone call and say that they can do a testimonial, or did you?
No, that
Nope.
they weren't available
Okay.
tonight, unfortunately, but
Okay.
we'll catch them next time.
Okay, good. And if anybody's online with us right now that has had a funding and has not done a testimonial on that, you're welcome to. I want to get on through what we're going to talk about, and then you can raise your hand when we go to Q&A, and just let me know that you want to tell about the funding that you got, and we'll let you speak as well. Okay. All right. So I said we're going to talk about building relationships through networking. I'm going to take us off of screen share, so we're back on camera, and just a little bit about how this topic got started, I guess. Partly with Amy, who is on the team, and she's probably on our Zoom tonight. I see her on the corporate Zoom. She's part of our organization. And she just has joined the Chamber of Commerce. She's got her drop cards and has started doing some business networking. And she and I were talking earlier today about the conversations that you want to have, what your topic should be when you're trying to build those relationships. So initially, when you start going to chamber meetings or B&I meetings or other business associations, like Harlequin participates in several here locally. She and I actually participate in one together. We share the cost of that annual membership because it's a bit pricey. So we went in on that together. And when we get enough fundings that they're actually Harlequin's personal customers, right? She's the one that's really working that account. But when they pay, DAC refunds us the $500 towards our membership with that organization, then we split that $500 to go back to cover the cost that we shared going in on it. So that's something for you to consider if you have someone in your business with you as a partner, and you guys might want to share those expenses. But initially, when you get started, you're just trying to let people know who you are. One part about being successful with networking groups is being consistently there and being a part of their local scene, and for you to be seen over and over and over again at their meetings. So they understand that you're someone that they can trust and that is really there for the long haul. And you also want to be interested in what their business is. So it's not just you going in and pitching what you do. You want to find out what they do. So a referral network of Chamber of Commerce or B&Is and all that is about building relationships and them not just being able to refer you out, but for you to be actively trying to connect people with them and being a true referral partner in that. So I want to have Harlequin talk on this a little bit. Harlequin, we can go back and forth. We briefly talked about what we're doing here earlier. Harlequin does a lot of networking, and I know many times throughout the month when we're touching base pretty much on a daily basis, I'll say, hey, what do you got going on? Or I'll call and she sends me to voicemail saying I can't talk. And then she calls me back and she'll say, hey, I was headed to such and such luncheon, or I had a breakfast meeting. So I know she's out there almost daily meeting and connecting somewhere in the community. So I wanted to give her an opportunity to share with share with you what a meeting looks like if you have the opportunity to set an appointment. Maybe if you're, and I'll just pose this question. So Harlequin, you've gone to some of these networking groups, you've connected, you've exchanged cards, and you guys briefly discussed at the meeting that you would like to get together for a private meeting outside of the busy networking, right? I know you do a lot of those. Tell everybody what that would look like for you. If you're setting a meeting, what kind of time frame, what kind of setup? Are you meeting in a restaurant, a coffee shop? What kind of setup are you doing, and what is the purpose of that meeting? What are you doing, and what are you trying to accomplish there?
Okay. Well, it can be any one of those. As far as, a coffee shop is usually a good place, or a restaurant. It depends upon how much time you guys have. And also, it also depends upon, okay, what industry is that person in? Because, it might be an industry that you're not necessarily, what's the word I'm looking for? You're not necessarily looking to see if, they're just, sometimes they're going to be more than just a referral partner or a potential client. Sometimes it might be that if it's somebody in accounting, or, if it's a CPA or something like that, you might also want to talk to them about potentially becoming an agent. So sometimes you might need a little bit longer time period for that. Usually you schedule it for about half hour, 45 minutes. If you're potentially talking to them about not only becoming a client, but also potentially becoming an agent, you might want to plan on an hour. But typically, whenever I go and meet with somebody, you want to find out, you don't want to just regurgitate everything about DAC to them. You want to find out what it is that they do, so that you can go and be a resource for them as well. Because people like to share leads with people who have shared leads with them. So it's a two-way street. It's networking, it's working your network, and it goes in both directions. So always keep that in mind, and make sure you take notes about what it is that they do, so that you can remember back. Because once you start meeting a bunch of people, it all kind of runs together a little bit sometimes. So, you got to keep that in mind. But mostly what you're going to want to do is, find out more about their business. One, so that you can refer them to other people. But the other thing is, so you can try and determine, okay, how are the ways that I might be able to help them? It may not just be business funding. They might need healthcare, or they might need new payment processing or something like that. So you want to find out how you can help them and how they can help you, because they might have something that you might be interested in too. You never know. If you're meeting with a roofer and you might have a tree go through your roof, you never know. So just keep that in mind whenever you're talking to them. But
Right.
like I said, you can either do it in a coffee shop. I will say though, make sure you know where the coffee shop is and what the setup is, because I've had a situation where I knew that there was a Starbucks, that there were two, one across the street from each other. I had been to one of them, and it tended to be a little bit too crowded. So I was like, oh, well, let's go ahead and meet at the other one. Well, I didn't realize it was only outdoor seating, and there was construction right next door. So make sure that either you or the person scheduling the appointment with you, make sure that kind of what the situation is. Sometimes you're going to have to go, if you're meeting halfway and you don't know the area all that well, stick with tried and true companies. You usually, you usually know what you're getting with Starbucks, but you never know. So anyways, just something to keep in mind. And just go out there and be friendly and let them know. Yeah, because you can't talk to them about everything when you're meeting them in a networking situation. You only have a few minutes because you want to work the entire room and meet as many people as possible there. And the main goal is to get a chance to talk to them afterwards.
Exactly. Now, I personally don't like meeting at Starbucks because they're usually so busy and such a buzz going on in there. Sometimes it's hard to have a conversation with someone. So
True.
I prefer Dunkin' Donuts because you can still get a great cup of coffee and it's usually not packed inside like Starbucks is. Or Chick-fil-A is good if you're there off hours outside of their peak hours inside, because most of their business now is a drive-through if you haven't noticed the way that they change. But great tips there, Harlequin. So let me ask you, now you're talking about talking to a CPA or someone in that accounting role where they already have a book of business, business owners that are coming to them with their financials, which they are a great referral partner. Are you necessarily trying to recruit them as an agent when you're first getting started and have joined that organization, or do you want to be a little bit more seasoned in that organization before you start trying to recruit agents out of that group?
Yeah, you do want to wait a while, but mostly because one, you don't want to create competition for yourself to get clients in that situation. It depends. Sometimes it depends. Like I also will go and visit other groups that I'm not necessarily a member of, because like here, I live in Atlanta. I actually get an email list sent to me, or an email sent to me every week of the events that are going on in Atlanta with business associations and chambers. And that's all it is local business associations and chambers. In Metro Atlanta, there are over 100 events every single month. There is no way that I can attend everything. So I will sometimes go to a group and, as a guest, and I will go and meet people and try and see if there's somebody in that group that I can potentially recruit as an agent in that group, because I know that I can't be everywhere.
Right. And then you've got someone in that group that can be working DAC on your behalf.
Exactly.
So to speak. Yeah. So I love what you just said. You get these email notifications. If let's put you in another city. Let's say that you are in Louisville, Kentucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you do if you're a new agent and you're in Louisville, Kentucky? How would you go about finding those organizations? Is there a certain search that you would do to try to get on an email list so that you can learn about the networking there?
Yeah, what you can do is just Google business associations in my area. You like the county that I live in, I think there's 15 different business associations. There's different city, it can be listed either as a city, it can be listed as the county. So like there's a North Cobb, South Cobb, West Cobb, Northeast Cobb business association. So I would go and just Google business associations near me, but then I would also kind of look and run that for the other things. Now, I happen to know the person who started this email list. I've known him since before he started the list. But what he did was he went and he found out all these different business associations, and he started going, and he sent the list that he sends out. He has a link to the registration page for each of those events. So it does take him quite a bit of time. But one of the things that I would suggest, if you don't have something like that in your area, that's a great thing to start, because pretty much anybody that does business networking in Metro Atlanta knows Joel. It's Joel's list that gets sent out every week, it goes out every Sunday, and people look for that. I think he's got like 15,000 people on his email list, because everybody wants to know, oh, hey, where are all the events? So it's definitely something that would be really good for you to take a look at, to see, hey, if there's not one, let me create one. Although it does take a little bit of time. And once he built it up to a certain extent, he's started doing events himself. He does business mixers, and he does a business expo twice a year, where he makes money from that. And he's started charging, I think he charges $10 for people to get added to his list. So it's a potential moneymaker. But it's a way to get yourself known in your community as well.
Very good. Now, when you talk about getting to know those business owners, when you have the opportunity to do the 15, 30, 45-minute meeting, whatever it is that you're doing, I like to look at that as kind of peeling back the layers on an onion when you're getting to know that business owner. As Harlequin said, you're looking to see how you might be able to help them, but I also listen to who they do business with on an ongoing basis. So if it is a roofer, right, they're in the construction space, which is our largest space of all funding types. We do more in the construction arena than any other industry. So those roofers are connected with other contractors, right? So you want to make that point after you listen to them and learn what's going on, and maybe ask them some questions about, how many employees do you guys have? Are you offering health care? And kind of go through that list of how you might be able to help them. Then, reach out and say, well, by the way, some of the best connections that I can make is through anybody in the construction space. So if you know other contractors, whether it be other roofers or plumbers or HVAC company owners that are finding themselves in a position where they need some of the services that we market, those are great referrals for me. And I also toss the ball back. I usually will ask them, if you were describing your perfect referral, what would that look like? And I ask them to tell me who they're looking for their referrals, right? And then that gives me the opportunity to put that back in their court with what I just explained. So good stuff there, Harlequin. Appreciate your expertise on that. Always great nuggets. One other thing that we discussed before we go to questions here is we were talking about David's call today, the leadership call. I'm sorry.
Before we do that, I would like to make one other comment about networking. A lot of times, some of the groups are still doing Zooms, and sometimes it's easier to meet somebody on Zoom. But a couple of things, and I'm going to make this comment only because I know that I mentioned it to you. When you're doing a Zoom in a business setting like that, make sure your background is a business type setting, and things like ceiling fans going, it's very distracting when you're talking to somebody to have that in the background. But the other thing is, I know that a lot of our people here put a picture on your profile for Zoom, so that if you're not on camera, people can see your picture, so they at least have a face, because if say you're, for whatever reason, you're not on camera when you're talking, especially if it's one-on-one, if you need to at least have a picture showing, rather than having them talk to a black screen with your name on it. It definitely helps, and it gives a better professional image to yourself. But anyway, so I just wanted to mention that.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking at my Zoom account to see if I can show you guys where. Yeah, that's not going to be a good idea there to show you. The easiest way to update your profile on your Zoom is when you're looking at your account, and as the host, I don't know if I can get there to do this. When you're looking at your account, oh, I know. Go to the one that has your picture. Go to your picture. And if you're looking at yourself on this Zoom right now, where it shows your picture, it gives you the option with 3 little dots to the right of your name. If you click on those 3 little dots, it's going to give you the option to edit your profile picture. Okay. And when you click on that, and it also gives you the ability to rename the name that's displayed under your picture or for your live video, right? So you can do that. Just click the 3 little dots beside your picture there on Zoom, edit profile picture or rename, and then you'll be able to get that professional appearance there that Harlequin is referencing. So good stuff. Let me go. Let's see. Oh, I know. We were going to do the conversation that what David started today, talking about working in small groups. And I look at that, and Harlequin and I discussed this too, and we'll go into a little bit more detail. We'll discuss this live tonight. But when you first get started, if you're building an agency, right, it is always you by yourself, and then you start introducing the opportunity to other people. Like when I first got started with DAC, the day that I saw the opportunity, I was excited about it, but I was a little bit hesitant to get started. So I really reached out to a good friend of mine who had just invited me to like his Facebook page earlier that day. He had sent me a request to like his Facebook page. And I had gone over to his page after that request, looking it over. I, of course, liked the page, but I was checking out his business page to see what he was doing. And I could see that he was marketing in the B2B space, right? He was marketing services to business owners. So when I saw the David Allen Capital video, I immediately thought of him. And I'm going, okay, let me put this in front of somebody else that can kind of be a second opinion for me and give me some feedback on it. Plus, when I had a guest in front of the opportunity, I knew that that was going to open up more questions for me between the two of us to ask about the company before I became an agent. So I went ahead and I did go ahead and get my agent ID number and got signed up since it was a free opportunity. I didn't have anything to lose, right? But I invited him to take a look at it. I just reached back out to him through Facebook initially, and I said, hey, Glenn, I went over to your page and I liked your page as you requested. I noticed that you're in the business to business space. I just ran across an opportunity that looks like it might be a perfect fit for what you're currently doing. Are you open to taking a look at something outside to have an additional stream of income? And he said, absolutely. So I sent him the link to the same video that I had watched, but had my agent ID number at the end. He watched the video. Or actually in that, I got a commitment for him on when would he be able to watch it. And he said, I can watch it today. And we set a time. And then as soon as he finished, he called me and he said, I like this. This is really interesting. But he started going through a whole list of questions that I didn't know the answer to. And I said, hey, I get it. Great stuff. I'm excited too. Let me see if we can get those questions answered. And I got my enroller on the phone. We did a 3-way call together. My enroller answered all those questions. I'm sitting back taking notes, learning as I'm a brand new agent with DAC. And then we had so many questions that they said, hey, let me see. You know, I know between the two of you, y'all got the ability to bring in a lot of agents. Let me see if we can set up a call with our founder, David Rutz. And they made that happen later that day. We were talking to David. He was driving in the car, but he was just spouting off about his vision with David Allen Capital, why he got the company started, some of the statistics. I've still got those notes in my notebook today from that very first call with him. But it always starts with just you, and then one or other person or two other persons, depending on how many people you bring in on that initial startup. But then that small group is just a couple of you or three of you. And if you're doing this in your small local community, it gives you the ability to have a working partner that you can go out doing the door-to-door or face-to-face meeting. I know Harlequin and I have gone out and handed out business drop cards together. We did that back during the pandemic, which honestly, that wasn't a lot of fun back then because we were having to wear masks. And me, I love walking through the door with a big smile on my face and being friendly. And with a mask covering up half of my face, it really just kind of took away my ability to put my personality into walking in the door to greet somebody. Harlequin was smart. She had the clear face shield. So when she showed up with that, I'm going, hey, that's a great plan, because then she could walk in and still have a smile on her face and do a better intro than I felt like I could. But it was fun because we were doing that together and not going out on our own. So building that recruiting agents in your local community where y'all can go out 2 by 2 or 3 by 3 or however big your group continues to grow is a great way to get going. Now, Harlequin, you were telling me today that you've got an incentive that that might be worthwhile mentioning, and that we can discuss this and come up with some options. But I want you to put your thoughts out there to the team tonight on what we were talking about small groups earlier.
Yeah, well, part of it is, one, I know I'm going to be traveling a little bit. I've got some really fun, exciting things that I'm going to be doing in the next few months. So I'm going to be traveling to West Palm Beach, College Station, Texas, and also Las Vegas. But and I'll be driving to Texas and Florida, and we'll probably make some stops. But so anybody in those areas, reach out to me. But one of the other things is, I know Ellen and I have mentioned this a couple of times, I have been doing Eric Worre's GoPro program. And he's got some, GoPro is coming up the beginning of December, and I actually have some tickets, and I'm looking for some people potentially. Now, obviously, first dibs go to my team members, but I'm opening it up to others as well if we've got some interest. What I was going to do is have some people go and have one person take ownership of their small team group, and we'll let you have the ticket so that everybody can go and watch that live via Zoom. And that's a 3-day event. It's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of December. But that is some phenomenal training. And it's all on network marketing, tips and tricks on how to do social media, recruiting, getting customers, although they're more B2C rather than B2B. But a lot of the things can be used for that. So anyways, one thing, if you guys can go and in the chat, just so we get a feel for where everybody is that's on this, if you can just put down what city and state you're in, that would be really cool to find out where everybody is, just so we can get a feel for that.
That's great. Yeah, and as you're looking at that, I want to mention when Harlequin first got started with GoPro with Eric Worre, it all started because I had a ticket and I had a big screen TV in my living room, and I invited Harlequin to come hang out for the weekend. So she came over to my house every day, notebook in hand, and we sat back on sofas with the big screen on, and we sat there participating in the event. And taking notes. And after the 3-day weekend, it was like life changing, not just the business building aspect of it, but there's a tremendous amount of personal development that you will gain through all of the training that he does. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about being in corporate America, how I had missed that when I left corporate and I went out and became a restaurateur on my own. I missed the personal development that the corporation always put me through. And I was in this daily grind of running my restaurant and not partaking in seminars outside of what I did, other than some things that the chamber did, because I was a member of the local chamber with my restaurant. But the personal development that comes through some of the training, especially what Eric does, is amazing. So I encourage you, if you have the opportunity to do it. I know over these past 3 years that Harlequin has been participating with Eric, I've not only watched her grow as an individual, but I've watched her business grow tremendously from the skills that she has learned and the discipline that she has been able to put into place, basically because of what she's learning through that. So it would behoove any of you, if you have the opportunity and want to participate in that, go for it, because it could be a life-changing deal for you. So
Yeah,
thanks for putting that
absolutely.
out there, Harlequin, that
Yeah.
invitation. So we got folks all over the country.
Pardon?
Do we have folks all over the country in the
Yeah, we
looking at
do.
the
Quite a
chat?
few different places. Now, one other thing, just to kind of put this out there, they will, just for planning purposes for people, they will be doing another GoPro mentorship program for next year. So if you're interested in something like that, it definitely is a wonderful idea. Eric is going to be doing like 15-20 minute trainings 6 days a week for
Sweet.
next year, and he's going to do 3 different 90-day runs. So it's going to be awesome. So anyways, yeah,
Good
so
stuff. I had to put my city in there.
I will actually be in the studio in Las Vegas for GoPro personally.
Nice.
So,
Nice. That was amazing. When they had all of those screens, it's an amazing setup that they have, and watching them orchestrate all of that. The amount of money that they've put into that is just incredible. Of course, he's bringing in a lot of money from the event, but you definitely get your money's worth. And then being able to hear from and see the different presenters that he brings in. It's not just Eric Worre all weekend. He has different pros that are proven $1 million earners in the network marketing space. He has to verify their income before they're able to speak. And then he has outside entertainers come in. I know 2 years ago, Sylvester Stallone was one of the speakers, and his story was incredible, talking about how he was able to get started with his first movie with Rocky, and all the challenges and obstacles that were in front of him along the way as he kept getting turned down, and then finally had somebody that wanted the script, right? But they wanted another actor to do it. And he said, nope, you can't have it if it's not me. He said, I'm Rocky. This is my script, and I'm Rocky. I'm Rocky Balboa. I'm the fighter. And he stood his ground to not turn that over and give away his big screen opportunity. So it was great being able to hear from the different folks along the way. Again, it's life-changing information. So thank you for sharing that, Harlequin. So anything else before we go to questions?
not that I can think of right now.
Yeah, I see I have a lot of birthday wishes in the chat. I appreciate that from everybody. This was my birthday weekend. I have friends that have birthday months. I just had to narrow mine down to a birthday weekend, but it was great. Lots of fun. And now I'm having to get back to reality and planning my next 60 years. What's it going to look like, right? So here we go, onward and upward. All right. I don't see anybody's hand raised. I had one earlier.
Yeah,
I
she
see
got
Shelton
kicked out
now.
and had to log back in.
Okay, maybe. Yep. All right. I'm going to ask Shelton to unmute. How are you doing tonight, Shelton?
I am good. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Yeah.
All right. Mine's not a question. Mine's more of a a compliment, actually. I had a nice phone call with Eric Johnson earlier today after the Zoom training meeting this morning, and he gave me. We went over last week. I asked you about if I should reach out to him or reach out to you, going over my game plan, and excuse me, and me and him actually had a good talk. His way of doing things is nothing in the direction like I'm going to do mine, but his works for him. But he had his direction actually was able to feed into giving me ideas for mine. He's a great inspiration. And I want to thank you for recommending that I reach out to him on it, because he gave me some great tips and he listened to my story a little bit and then came up just instantly with some great ideas. So I know I didn't see him on the call, but if you can just make sure that you also let him know that I really appreciated his help. He's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the reason that I directed Shelton back, for those of you listening, Eric is his enroller, right? So I directed him back to Eric to create that relationship. As we talk about building relationships with referral partners, you also want to create relationships with that person that brought you into DAC if there's a good fit. Sometimes there's a personality conflict, but I wanted Shelton to get to know Eric because I know Eric is a wealth of information. He is a YouTuber, and Eric may not be on here live, but he watches these videos on replay. So he will be here in your comments, Shelton, for sure. And I appreciate you sharing those kind words for me.
Absolutely.
And for him as well. Absolutely.
So thank you again as well.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for the comment. And I have Ravinda. I'm going to ask you to unmute. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fine, Ellen. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Since I'm new here, I just want to say hi to everybody. I'm happy to be on the DAC team, and this is a new thing for me, even though I do a lot of networking and I do a lot of stuff on social media. So I had an actual question regarding the information we got in regards to, use of the logos and all that. On the resource page where we get like banners and things like that, are we able to use stuff like that on our social media sites or blog pages?
Yeah, so if the logos, you cannot use the logos for DAC unless you're using it on pre-approved material. But what you can do for social media is anytime you share your link, like davidallencapital.com/business-capital/ your ID number. If you share that link on social media, it's automatically going to populate an image, a social image. So you can allow that image to populate, and then you can type in whatever content you want around that. Same thing if you're promoting the business opportunity, it pre-populates an image for you, and it'll say independent agent with DAC, but you can't just make a post and put that you're a DAC agent using the logo there. They're very strict on using the company name, David Allen Capital spelled out, or our lending partner bank, Breezy. You cannot use those names in whole, but you can use the acronym DAC. That's fine. That is not a trademark. And again, the logos, you're only able to use the logos on pre-approved material out there. So you're always safe just using those links. If you have any questions on that, we also have our marketing policy that's in the Agent Resource Center. Near the bottom left of the page, there's a marketing policy document there. The reason that we have that in place, Ravinda, is really to protect our brand so that people aren't misrepresenting DAC. And also the marketing policy is there to protect all of us that are marketing as independent agents and may have a conversation with the business owner in a networking group, and then they don't realize that they need to go to my page, dacfundingoptions.com, and they just go to davidallencapital.com, and whoever's Google ad pops up, they're on somebody else's page. So those marketing policies are there to really protect us all in the long term and to maintain the integrity of our brand over the long haul as well.
So if I create, say, either a landing page or just a blog specifically for business services and make this particular thing the highlight of the page, is that okay?
It
Using
is.
the
Here's how
using
you
the
want to do that.
pre-approved.
You can talk about it all you want to, okay? Just don't use the name and just don't use an image, right? Otherwise, you've got to get it approved, and they'll do approvals if you send it to support@davidallencapital.com. But it's low on their priority list because they are supporting the agent base, and they're not going to take a lot of time to review content. So you can really create anything that you want as long as you make it a generic funding page where you're creating images that aren't DAC images, and showing money and funding related images, funding content, and then when they click here to learn more, you can redirect them directly over to your David Allen Capital page. Just don't mention anything on that landing page that you create as far as the brand names go.
Okay.
That makes sense?
So yeah, and so that means I can't put, like, say, the banner that you have for the self-employed and gig worker funding. I couldn't put that on a landing page, you're saying?
If it is the exact image and that's all the landing page is, you can create that image with maybe a capture page or a click here to learn more. You could do that.
Okay, because I did set that. I haven't published it yet. So I have like the banner from the resource center on there. And I have a
When you
link
say
going.
banner, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
The images on the resource page that we have, it gives us somewhere on there were like images of like an advertising image. It just says like a girl in the car with a ride share. It says instant funding up to 5,000 for, and then it has all those different things. And then it has DAC, independent agent, little logo on the bottom. Then it has like different little things, simple requirements, breezy online process, simple and fair. It doesn't
Sounds
say
like what you're reciting are some of the pages of the website, right?
I don't know. I mean, I just got like this somehow there's a PDF of all these images. So I thought they were like banners to use for marketing.
You may see it under the images file, but yeah, again, if you're using logos or the company name, it needs to be pre-approved. But if you're just creating the image and putting it on a landing page and it's an approved image, you can use that. But just be cautious using David Allen Capital, Bank Breezy in full name, or using the independent agent logo. Because what happens is you may be a great marketer and you may have the ability to create professional looking material, but not every one of us has that capability. So if we don't pull that in and have that control over it, you're going to have some agents that don't have that skill set that create something that looks great to them, but is not very professional in the business owner's eyes. So we're just trying to maintain that consistency too with the brand. So just don't use anything brand related. I wouldn't even use the images. You risk them flagging you. We do have a compliance team that's always scouring the internet looking for things where people are violating that policy. But if you create something, you want to use it, you can send it to support@davidallencapital.com to get a thumbs up on it. And then you're safe with it. If you've got to use something besides what I recommend, just making it generic, totally generic, until it clicks a link and it goes over to David Allen Capital. So
okay, I could do that too.
Yeah.
I have resources for images that are safe to use, so I could do that too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. And I know that question was beneficial to others as well. So thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, Amy, I see your hand up, and Amy is the one who was the starter for this conversation tonight about networking. What do you have for us tonight, Amy? Can you unmute? I think I lost her.
There we are.
There you are. Hey, Amy, how are you tonight?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. One thing, I was trying to find how to get my picture up on the Zoom there, but I couldn't find how to do that. I clicked the little ellipses and stuff, but it didn't work.
Yep. So if you see your picture you see yourself here, you see either your own video or your picture as you're looking at the Zoom tonight.
Yeah. The only way I could see myself is if I put myself on video. I couldn't. Yeah.
Actually,
Harlequin, if
Ellen,
you've got a comment
yeah,
there.
if you go in the upper right-hand corner where it says view, if you click on gallery, whenever you hover your mouse over your picture or your thing, it will say mute or ask to unmute, and then there's 3 dots next to it. You click on the 3 dots.
Right.
And it will say, actually, you know what? It doesn't have it's got virtual background. Yeah, Ellen, it doesn't have the, to add the video or the picture, but you can use a virtual background.
I don't have any virtual backgrounds.
Okay, but I think realistically, I think you need to do it when you're on Zoom on your account. Because I thought I saw it in there, but I'm not seeing it right now.
Let me look. I ask you because I'm not seeing the same view as the host. Any of you participants that are looking at the participant only screen, if you have feedback on that, on how she can do it, feel free to raise your hand and let us know.
Yeah. I was trying to sign in, but
I see. Everybody can go in and click on participants. Do you see that on your screen, Amy?
yes.
Okay, when you click on participants, it shows you the whole list. And if you'll go down and just hover over your name, you should see the 3 dots there. Let's see. Nope, it's doing the same thing. Does it give you the option to change your photo there?
This is Frank.
Hey, Frank.
So Harlequin was saying that's how it works. It works for me. Now you see my picture.
I do, yeah. Looking good.
So that's when you're hovering over your your screen in the view gallery, click on the 3 buttons, and it will say lower end, mute, and second to the bottom, it would say edit profile or add profile picture.
It doesn't say that.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
I think it's going to depend upon which version of it you have on your computer.
And whether you're using a PC or a Mac or you're on your phone, so it may be device dependent as well. So thank you for that input, Frank.
Yeah, it worked for me. Harlequin.
Well, yeah, your picture looks awesome, Frank.
It does. That is a business photo. Coat and tie, looking good. All right, we've got some other hands raised. Maybe one of these folks has that answer too. So I'm going to go back to Ravinda again and ask to unmute. There you are.
Okay. I'm on my phone.
All right.
Can you
Do
hear
you have another question or comment?
I recall listening to the training, speaking on people like the rideshare businesses, or the ones that are only qualified for like $5,000 or whatever. You said, well, he said it takes a little longer for the commission to pay out, like
It
within
does.
30 days.
It
Is that
does.
true?
In fact, we just
Okay.
got paid on Giggle today. So Giggle is for those workers that are making between 3,000 and 5,000 and or maybe more. If they're between 3,000 and 5,000 with a business account, they would go to Giggle. Or if they're 3,000 and above, but operating with a personal account where all of their business revenue is going into personal account instead of a business account, Giggle is the only lending partner that they can be qualified for. They're going to only get qualified for about 25% of the lowest month out of the past 3 months, whatever that revenue was. And then we only get paid once a month. So we get paid on the 15th of the following month for everything that just happened. We just got paid here on September for what happened for the month of August. Because those fundings are so small, the commissions may not be $20 on a funding because it's a real small funding, and we get paid a lower percentage of the funded value than a regular funding because there's not a lot of profit in it. So instead of trying to send out commissions on every one of them, they just compile a report and send it all together over to David. Plus, that client that borrows money through the Giggle platform has to at least make their first payment, or David Allen Capital doesn't get paid. So therefore, the referring agent doesn't get paid. And I believe, I'm just off the top of my head on this, I believe David said that 6 out of 10 people that get Giggle funding are defaulting on that loan and not even making the first payment back. So if they don't make that first payment, we don't get a commission at all. So that's why the extended period and the once a month payout on that.
Okay, so what about someone who owns a bar that's like a nightclub?
Mhm.
Would that be the same category?
Oh, no. If
they
they own a
probably make
nightclub,
way
they're
more than
probably
that.
operating through a business checking account, right?
Right.
And they're doing more than $5,000 a month. That's going to put them into
Oh,
the
yeah.
higher funding where you get paid daily on that. Mhm.
Okay. And
Yeah, and I know you're just getting started, but all of those details are covered in the video number 2 at the top of the Agent Resource Center, those first 3 videos that you are required to go through. So you can go through that. You may have already seen it, but I also know that when you're new, it's a lot of information and kind of overwhelming. So sometimes I encourage people to go back and watch it a second time after things start sinking in. Another tool that you want to use in addition to just that video is under number 1, under the section Business Capital. Number 1, under that section, there's a 5-page PDF document that is a great resource. It breaks it down into the funding process. It breaks it down into the Giggle, the Biddy Advance, and the in-house bigger fundings with Biddy, Bank Breezy, I mean. And it shows you what the requirements are for each, and also the communication sequence that you as the agent will receive, as well as how the client gets communicated with. So that's a great tool for you to have as a go-to resource. Okay.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. You're welcome. Thanks for the question. All right. I'm going to lower your hand and go back to Shelton. Did you have another question, or are you back on Zoom?
I do actually have a question,
Okay.
and even a comment, for, because I'm new as well, but after those 3 videos, I my comment first, and then I'll ask my question. I highly suggest that Super Saturday video and training. And what I did is I printed out all the pages, and I've got a ton of notes. Just the first 4 hours took me about of that video, which is 6.5 hours. The first 4 hours actually took me 2 days because I took so many notes, and I went backwards and back and forward, and I made sure I was learning as I was going. I do highly suggest that. That taught me a lot more than even those first 3 videos. My question, those images that were mentioned are from that they were released on January, February, March, July, July 2nd. And they're the DAC funding images. So and my question is, so we can't even use that, like, for my friends and family and them to spread it for me as well. I've actually created a free Google website for them to be able to go to, and then if they're interested, a thing for them to click on, fill out their name and phone number and email, and it comes right to me. And then I can, that way I know I can reach out to them, because that's them saying, hey, yeah, I'm interested. I'd like to hear more. Are we not able to also have those images even on something like that?
Yeah, so you've created kind of a capture page, capturing their information, right?
Yes. And it's got a little story about me where, you know, I've been them. I've been that person as an owner-op truck driver where my semi truck, actually the motor blew and I couldn't get funding. Back then, it was 10 years ago, there wasn't something like this available. And so I've been through that struggle. And so there's a real quick little snippet about my story that I feel what they feel. And then, yes, it's a capture page, just so if they're interested, they click on this link and they fill out their email, phone number, their name, and then put a little comment of about their being interested or whatnot, what their question is.
Yeah, you know, I had somebody question right after the marketing policies came out. I saw an ad out there that someone was using, and I asked support about it just for my own information as a team leader, to be able to direct people the right way. And their response was that if the images are there in the Agent Resource Center, then that means they're an approved image and you can use them. So the real answer is yes. And you too, Ravinda, you can use those images, but you're walking a very fine line when you do. The reason I say that is when we first rolled out the marketing policy, I saw some images, or I had some images that I had downloaded and they were obsolete. And I didn't know that image had been updated. So I had created something doing the same thing, and I had an older image out there, and they said, no, that's not an approved image, but it came from DAC, right?
Yeah.
So I would just use caution in those, because they may update it and you may have an obsolete image out there that's not on the updated list. Okay. And you may get your hand slapped for using images that you shouldn't. So just be careful if it has the DAC logo on it, which I just pulled up those images from the Agent Resource Center. There's one that's Bank Breezy, David Allen Capital, and Bank Breezy Independent Agent. And I think that's really an old image that doesn't need to be in the Agent Resource Center. So use caution with those.
What about, because you say you just brought that up, what about those ones that were released on 5/2? If you look at, because I'm right there right now, where it says new Bank Breezy images and then DAC funding images, and both of them are in red, a date for 5/2/22.
Yeah, let's look at the date on the marketing policy. And if those were created after that policy was released, then you should be good. But let's see. I'm pulling up that policy now. It's dated 5/23/22.
So that was before.
Okay. Yeah, it was revised. So I would ask that question to support before you use those.
Okay. Or maybe I should ask Dave on Friday's meeting.
That would be great. And then you're putting it out there for everybody to get an answer at the same time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you for the question, both of you. You know, again, it goes back to us protecting the brand, protecting the images, following the policies, and you just brought something to light that is on that borderline of whether that's really an updated image and they want us using that, because I know that the use of Bank Breezy in what we're doing is very limited. At one point, if you guys see some older videos, you may see that we used to use bankbreezy.com/our agent ID number. In fact, when you go to davidallencapital.com and you click on the apply now through the business capital link, it takes you over to a Bank Breezy page. But if your client doesn't go through the David Allen Capital link to get to Bank Breezy, then your information doesn't carry over properly. And we're not to be marketing the Bank Breezy page without the David Allen Capital as a precursor page. So we're not using Bank Breezy at all. They are our funding partner, but we're not using bankbreezy.com anymore. But again, there's some old videos out there where we kind of changed the marketing strategy with them. So I will make sure that it's updated. But yes, please ask that question on Friday and David will address that. All right. Thank you. And Amy has her hand up again. I'll ask you to unmute again. What you got, Amy?
Okay, you were mentioning about the images.
Yes.
Now there was an image that I got. It was said June something of 2022. So that should be an up-to-date image, right?
It should.
Okay, because I was trying to use it.
And did you get it out of the Agent Resource Center?
Yes.
Okay. That brings up something else that I think of. If you go to Google and you Google David Allen Capital and click on images, you'll find images that people have created, DAC images, and they've named them with something that has David Allen Capital in it. And if they're using it on a landing page or anything, you can find anything and everything out there that's been created. But if you're finding it on Google and not in the Agent Resource Center, then that doesn't mean that it's an approved image. But again, back to the timing question on the 522 revision of the marketing policy versus the folder that was created 5.2, I would be leery of that. But the image you found from June should be a current image. But again, maybe you want to wait and see what David says on Friday when Shelton asked that question.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Cool, cool. All right. Anybody else got questions? Shelton, I see your hand up again.
That one for the date, I think she's talking about the logo, and that's for if you're wanting to make your own cards and stuff, you have to get it approved before you create it. If that's what you're talking about, that's one that I do know that we're not supposed to use on our sites. That's a logo for creating material and then getting it approved. He said that last Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And we have Faye from Seattle. Hey, Faye, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, let me unmute myself. How are you?
There you are. Good. How are you doing?
I'm okay, hanging in there, just hanging in there. So, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
So to be clear, the images in the David Allen Capital Resource Center, are we able to use those images?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And the image folder is dated 5/2 of 22, and the marketing policy was revised on 5/22. So they have said if it's an image that's in that folder, then it is approved, but there's still a fine line of using those images versus using those images in material that you're creating on your own, whether it be a website or a landing page. I look forward to hearing David's answer on that discussion on Friday. Simply because that new marketing policy, they're so stringent on using anything that was not created by David Allen Capital. Obviously, if you use the image, it was created by DAC, but the rest of the content that goes around it is what could be questionable if you're creating information on your own. So I would just use caution with that, build in a landing page, unless that image is really all that's there and maybe a capture page underneath it, as Shelton was describing, that he's saying, want more information, fill out your name and information here. I
Right.
personally, though, if I'm doing marketing, blind marketing, where I'm looking for someone's information and I know that it's going to a cold market where they don't necessarily know me, I never want the company name or the company logo in it. And here's why. If someone is looking at a page that I have out there that's intriguing and enticing to them, and I go ahead and have a logo or company name where they can see it, a lot of times, instead of that person going on through to my page, they're just going to hit Google and they're going to go David Allen Capital. They're going to Google it, and then they're going to end up on somebody else's page. So I always leave it generic anyway, because I want them to be all the way over to my page before they start trying to research and
Right.
figure out who this company is.
Right. Okay, I just want to get a clarification, because my thought process was that anything in the resource center that we're able to use.
It should be that way. Sometimes we're moving faster than the update system in the resource center, because it's all a manual process, and we have a small team at corporate office, and they're there supporting our agents more than anything. So sometimes things get missed that are old and outdated documents there. But again, I don't like images that have our name. If I've got a logo that I use that's just DAC, independent agent. DAC was always generic enough to me so that, you know, people wouldn't be able to go Google David Allen Capital, because DAC, if you Google DAC, several different things come up, different companies that use that acronym. So I wasn't worried about them ending up on somebody else's website, but I like the generic marketing piece of it. If you can make it generic yet professional and specific to your industry, to where somebody's going to trust it. And another thing, our pages are really built so that when you're in the financial space, a lot of times we create concern from that prospect that finds us online. If it's cold market, they are concerned as to whether it is legitimate or not. So if you create your own landing page and then they go through that and they end up on David Allen Capital, then they're going, okay, I started here and I ended up over here, and they're wanting me to put in all of my financial information. So it creates a distrust. So you have to be careful on what it is that you're creating and how that transaction is going to, or how that handoff is going to work, getting them over to the David Allen Capital page, because a lot of times people will get gun shy on that and won't move forward with an application, even though they may be qualified to apply and they may need the money. If that handoff is not a smooth handoff, then you may be pushing them away rather than attracting them, just because of the nature of what it is that we're marketing.
Right. So it's okay to have the logo with just the independent agent, but then have your Repelica website underneath it. So when they click, they'll click and go onto your website.
Yeah, no, you can't use the logo unless you get permission. If you're wanting to put the logo on something, you have to get it approved
From the
by corporate to do that. Yeah,
from the resource center.
correct. Even that logo from the resource center. You can use it to create a website or create marketing material. But if you put the logo on it, you have to send that over to support@davidallencapital.com to get the support team to review it, or marketing team to review it and make sure that it's compliant. And then they'll give you a thumbs up or tell you you can't use it.
Okay, and that goes along with posting too as well, right?
No, if you're posting on social media and you're using your link, it's going to populate an image, and that image is already pre-approved. It was created for you to do the social posts. So those are 100% compliant. David Rutz controls those images. So whatever image that gets created when you make a post on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever, that image that populates from your website link is something that he posted in there and created to put on to that social media for you. Okay. So it's 100% good to go.
So those logos are okay for posting?
No, not the logo, not the logo. For posting, all you want to do is post the social link. You can post the images,
Yeah.
that are in that folder. You can post those.
That's what I was
Um,
referring to.
A lot of them are going to automatically pre-populate when you post your link. It automatically just populates that image.
Right.
But you can't just use the DAC logo as a post. You can't use that by itself. And again, why would you? Because then people are going to go, oh, who's David Allen Capital? And they're going to Google that, and they're going to end up on Bobby's site instead of Faye's site. And then Bobby's site is going to drop cookies on their browser. And if they pull up David Allen Capital again, they'll be on his site instead of yours, right? So
Right.
be careful. And another thing, if you use the links and you allow the images that get created automatically on your social post, that image is a clickable image. If you use the images from the image library, now you've got an image that's not clickable, that doesn't go straight over to your website, and you're going to have another additional image in your post to be able to get them over to your website. So
Isn't that when you have your Repatica website underneath it, so they can click? Because
yeah,
they'll see the image.
if you use just the images from the image folder, okay, and you just upload one of those images on a post, it does not have your agent ID because those are generic images, right?
Right.
But if you post your link, davidallencapital.com / whichever one of those pages / your ID at the end of it, the image that is attached to that page is automatically going to populate in the post. Now that image is a clickable image, but the other one, if you just uploaded one of the generic images from the resource center, that one is not going to tag them, but the one that has your link attached to it, that automatically goes to your page. So it is clickable.
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to double check to make sure.
You bet. Thanks for asking clarifying questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I've got Shelton's hands up again. What now, buddy?
Hopefully this will be the last one.
That's
You're talking
okay.
about that link, which will auto and populate an image. I like in your email that you sent out, like your welcoming email, it also has your picture. How did you do that?
My welcome email, I create that in a system called Get Response. Okay. So I have the ability to create that in a signature line, but I do that with my Google account as well. So do you use Google or Gmail for your email, Shelton? Okay. So if you go over to your signatures in Gmail, you can add an image there. And when you add that image, just do your signature and then add an image. And then it lets you do small, medium, or large as far as the size goes. Save it and then go back and play with it to see if the size that you saved is in keeping with your signature line. Yep, that's all you do.
All right, thank you.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that the reason I put my image in there is part of that relationship building, right? When you just see somebody's name, it's not the same as being able to put a name and face together. And I think that face in there creates that relationship where people see that information over and over again, and they actually get the feeling that they know you because they have that name and face relationship. And also, if you're doing networking, I have my picture on my business cards that I created for my networking groups. I created a generic card with my name on it, and I'm the local funding pro with a link over to my website. And I created a QR code. Doesn't say anything about David Allen Capital. It's mine. I didn't have to get it approved. I don't have anything on there that violates the marketing policy, but it has my picture on it. So when I'm out networking and handing out my card, you get so many cards at the end of the day, as Harlequin said, make notes, right? Sometimes you go back and you go, okay, who was this? And it's hard to put that conversation back with that person. That's why I put my picture on my business cards so that they go, oh, I remember her, right? Now they got the name and face, and then that draws them back to the conversation that we had much easier. So that was a good question. Thanks for asking that. All right, any other questions before we wrap up tonight? Anything in the chat there, Harlequin, that we need to address?
Yep, I've got a couple of them. And I did, just so people know, I had a couple of people asking, what if your enroller is not really concentrating on DAC and you need to be connected to your upline, active upline? Feel free to put your name, your full name in the chat, and I'll look. And if you're on my team, I've already got an appointment tomorrow with Ray to talk to her, but just, that way, or you can send an email to Ellen or to DAC support, but support sometimes will only give 1 or 2 people. They may not know who's actually really active. So just something to keep in mind, and we can put you in touch with somebody in your upline team that will help with that type of stuff. And then Sean has a question. What would be some ways how to bring this information to potential prospects?
Which information? All of the information. We have detailed information in the training there, Sean, under the business funding training. David talks about different ways to market and who to market to. It's covered in the Super Saturday that Shelton referenced. And thanks for mentioning that, Shelton. That is a great training. And you're a great student for taking so long to go through that, having printed out the handbook and taking copious notes along the way, because that's really a part of this business, is just diving in and immersing yourself in the information. So if you go through that training, you're going to see the best ways. We are a results-driven compensation plan, and we always teach the best methods of reaching out to clients and to prospects, because if we're not teaching successful methods, the company is not going to make any money. So anytime something is working, David teaches that to everyone. You'll notice that we don't teach buying leads and we don't teach mass emailing, because we've not proven a successful method for that to work. We've had people that have tried it. I've tried it myself. I have tried doing thousands of emails out at one time, and just doesn't work as well as the systems that we teach on sending individualized emails or making phone calls or the networking that we talk about. There's a great, in the Super Saturday workbook, there's a great list of scripts for sending out text messages. Guys, if you have not reached out to every person that you can possibly think of that you know and have not gone through that memory jogger exercise, you're missing the boat, because you need to just be announcing to them what you're doing, right? This is different than any other direct selling company out there. You're not trying to sell a product or promote a product. You're promoting yourself and kind of doing a grand opening and just announcing that, hey, I don't know if you know, but I just got started in the small business funding space. If you know of any business owners that are looking for working capital and that they can't get through their bank, I can probably help. Something on those lines. Those scripts are in the Super Saturday workbook. You're not promoting, you're just letting a friend know that you just started a new venture and how you might be able to help your local business community. So follow the training, and if you'll implement the training, you can have great success here. That's a great question. So thanks for asking that. Any other questions in the chat, Harlequin? Or further comment?
Yeah, just a second. I think I saw one more and I lost it. Jacqueline Brown was at, and I don't know if you answered this because I was typing to other people. Can you just add business funding to your business if you have a tax/bookkeeping business on your own business cards?
You sure can, yeah. As long as you're not using a logo, you can put it out there what you do without having to get it approved. If you're not using the logo and you're not using the company name, you can put it out there. I mentioned I have a website. I don't even use davidallencapital.com/. I think that leaves too much room for error. and some people will just see David Allen Capital and not see the agent ID at the end. So I always use a URL that redirects. So I do a domain training. It's in my email series that I send out, teaching you how the purpose of using a domain name, how to buy one, and how to set it up. I actually have an affiliate link out there. I make 50 cents or so if you buy it through my affiliate link on that training. So in full disclosure there, but it's real simple. Like I use dacfundingoptions.com, and that redirects to the funding page on my David Allen Capital site. It's a lot easier to spell for someone that's typing it in, and they don't know it's David Allen Capital until they've already landed on my page. Therefore, they're not going to be Googling David Allen Capital and ending up on somebody else's page first, right? So I'm always thinking ahead on simplicity for the end user, and also how do I make sure that they end up on my site and not some other David Allen Capital agent site, if I'm the one that should be getting credit for the lead. So
Yeah, actually, she said, what if I have my own business logo already and just want to add business funding?
oh yeah, your business logo is fine. I'm talking about using the David Allen Capital logo. You can't use the David Allen Capital logo unless you get it approved. So if you're just adding business funding under your business cards that have your logo on it, you're 100% fine to go.
Yeah, and she's wanting to send the link to DAC from there. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. That works. Okay. Any other questions in the chat? We'll go back to Amy. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to
I
unmute again,
think
Amy.
that's all in the chat. If
All
I
right,
missed
awesome.
one,
Yeah.
You muted yourself, Harlequin.
oops. I said, if I missed your question, please retype it in the chat because it got
There you go.
lost.
Okay, Amy, go ahead.
Now I wanted to give a shout out to Shelton. He really challenged me because it took me 2 times to try to view the first set of the Super Saturday training. And I was just so glad to be done with it. I didn't go back and review it like he did. So he really challenged me on that.
Awesome. So hopefully that challenge is that maybe you'll look at it in a different light. Instead of glad to be done with it, glad to have the opportunity to review it and maybe go back and see some of it again to see what was so good, and where, you know, try to figure out what was so engaging for Shelton, for him to be wrapped up in that. And I think too, the more you learn about this business, the deeper, or the more you want to learn, right? And you're there, Amy, because you've got a lot of questions along the way. As you said, you've been putting your plan together. Now you're in implementation mode, right? But putting your plan together is knowing and understanding the products, knowing and understanding the processes. And once you have the basics down, being able to take a little bit deeper dive in those services and the processes is just kind of a natural flow for most people. So maybe revisiting that would be a good thing for you now, since you're this far along.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your question. Shelton, got that hand up again?
Yeah, just one last comment about the Super Saturday, and I want to add to it. It was also David also hit on it on the interview he did Friday, and talking to banks, they talk about, and this is a key thing that I'm going to be using to talk to my bank and then reach out to other banks, is the fact that, and I once again took notes, 80% of the loan requests are denied. They only do 20, they only grant 20% or less. And having good key information that you can bring to the bank, showing that you are educated, and like he said, it's going to give you one step further where they're going to want to work with you because they see that you have educated yourself. And that video, like I said, the Super Saturday really, it has a lot of great information, and it's worth, like I printed out all the pages, and it's a lot of pages, and I made extra pages for the notes these note pages, I made like 10 more copies of each in each different section. So all right, I'm done.
Shelton, we got to get you in the GoPro. What do you think, Harlequin? He would love it.
Absolutely, he would. Where do you live, Shelton?
Illinois.
Okay.
He comes from Alaska to Illinois.
I was raised in Alaska, born in Texas, was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas when in the Army, and then lived in Utah for almost 10 years, and now I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you for your service.
Army Hua, thank you for your service.
Awesome. All right, guys. All right, I don't see anybody else's hand up. I'm gonna go ahead and get us wrapped up tonight. We've gone a little over our normal schedule, but have had some great Q&A sessions going there. So appreciate your participation from all of you that are still here. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for chiming in and tuning in to get better at what you do building your DAC agency. Next Zoom that we have will be on Friday at 11:30 Eastern time at daczoom.com. That is our corporate update. David does that every Friday. And I'm hoping that we're going to have some big announcements this Friday. We've been waiting on a real fine timeline, and I think we're getting close to that. So tune in Friday to see what the latest update is. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll see you on the next Zoom. Take care. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.